All rise for the jury.
Today's episode is both baffling and heartbreaking. The disappearance of Cindy Song, a bright and ambitious Penn State student. Cindy vanished without a trace back in 2001. What makes this case so haunting is the lack of solid leads and the many theories paired with unanswered questions surrounding her last known movements. Welcome back to Justice 4. We're your hosts. I'm Jackie.
And I'm Sam. Hey. We hope you guys had a great 4th of July and a safe one and stuff.
Yes. And we're glad to be back.
No accidents.
Hopefully everybody has their fingers. All
Terry,
10.
back it up, Terry.
Put it in reverse.
I hope Terry's okay.
Is Terry still alive?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe.
I just thought Terry was old.
Terry,
I don't know.
hope you're alive and not in any accidents with fireworks.
Yeah. No more fireworks for Terry.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah, no.
In 1995, at just 15 years old, Cindy Song left her family and everything she knew in South Korea and went to live with her aunt and uncle in Alexandria, Virginia, where she attended high school. Cindy absolutely thrived from the second she arrived in the U.S. She instantly made friends at school, played sports, and had top grades that earned herself a spot at Penn State University. Cindy had dreams of becoming a famous interior designer, so she chose integrated arts as her major. Just like in high school, Cindy absolutely thrived at college. She made friends quickly by joining the Korean Undergraduate Student Association, the American Red Cross Club, the Advertising Club, and if that wasn't enough to keep her busy on top of all of her classes, she also held down 2 part-time jobs, one at the library, another at a local Korean restaurant, and had a boyfriend.
God, I love hustlers.
Right?
Amazing.
I have never been as busy as I was in high school and college in my adult life. We did so much.
That's fair. We had the energy to do that much.
We did.
Not anymore. I like naps.
Yes. Cindy's friends described her as bubbly and outgoing. She loved to be spontaneous, but at the same time, she was really responsible, never missing work or her classes.
Hell yeah.
Fall of 2001 marked the beginning of Cindy's senior year. She started the school year living with her boyfriend, but by September, they broke up. After they broke up, Cindy moved in with a friend who had an off-campus apartment. The breakup was hard on Cindy, so much that she ended up going to therapy to help her cope with it. But with the help of her friends and the dose of dopamine you get from buying tickets to Britney Spears' Dream Within a Dream tour, Cindy was pretty much back to normal by Halloween.
I'm so jealous of her.
Right?
And that's like early 2000s Britney,
Yeah,
too?
that was the tour. She was even in the final stages of applying for a graphic design internship for next year.
Hell yeah.
She was really excited to move on to her career after college. That year, Halloween was on a Wednesday, giving college kids the perfect excuse to party on a weeknight. Not like they needed one anyway.
No, I just did that shit.
Yeah, we did that anyway. But it was more, at least things were going on. Later at night.
They had a legitimate excuse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cindy decided to dress up as a Playboy bunny. But her outfit was more on the cutesy side than like the slutty side.
Very Elle Woods of her.
Well, kind of not really.
No. Oh.
So she wore like a white tennis skirt and it had like a little makeshift like cottontail attached.
Cute.
And she had brown knee-high boots on and a pink tank top.
Cute.
But think like when you took your t-shirts and you rolled the sleeves up. So it wasn't like a low-cut tank top. It was like a higher up kind of just reminded me of like those shirts.
Yeah, I still do that.
I do too. And she had like cute little bunny ears with it.
Got it.
So it wasn't like slutty Playboy bunny.
Yeah.
It was like a bunny.
I'm a mouse.
Duh. Same vibe.
Okay.
Cindy's 2 best friends, Stacy Pack and Lisa Kim, picked Cindy up and they headed to Player Nightclub, a popular college club at that time that was having a Halloween party with a costume contest.
That's a very random name.
Player Nightclub, yeah. I wonder if it was like gamer themed or if it was like 2001, so it was like pimps. Because we had that
makes
whole
sense.
like pimp theme back then.
Dude, I went as a pimp. My mother allowed this for Halloween one year.
We did it for
I had the
prom.
cane. For
Do you not
prom.
remember the guys in the fedoras and the canes and us having like our pimp cups for like prom pictures and stuff? Nope.
I didn't do
Okay.
that at my prom.
Okay, that was
I did it for Halloween, and my mother let me wear like the purple leopard with the big diamond cane. It was amazing.
I did dress up like that in college as well.
Amazing.
It was a good time.
Mm-hmm.
So they stayed at the club till about 2 a.m., shut it down, and then they decided to head to a friend's house and play video games till about 4 a.m.
Okay.
Lisa and Stacy drove Cindy home. They watched her walk to the door of her apartment complex, driving off before Cindy went inside.
That's why you watch Always watch your friends walk inside. Always.
Yes.
Go on.
That afternoon, Cindy's roommate, who had been on a trip, came home excited to see Cindy, as they had made plans to catch up and go out that evening. So imagine her shock when she found the apartment locked from the outside and Cindy nowhere in sight. Thinking Cindy probably ran to the store down the street real quick, her roommate just began settling back in after her trip. But Cindy never came home that night. In fact, Cindy didn't show up for any of her classes on Thursday or Friday. She didn't show up for her shifts at the Korean restaurant, and her friends were used to going a day or two without talking to each other. Everyone was pretty busy, and people didn't keep in contact back in 2001 like they do now. It wasn't a constant stream of contact.
That's fair. We didn't. That's when we still had to pay 10 cents for every text message.
Yeah. So when Cindy didn't show up to the restaurant on Saturday for her shift, and at this point she'd missed a couple, and she hadn't called in for any of them, her boss and friends decided it was definitely time to call the police and report her missing.
I'm kind of shocked it took that long still. Like, especially if she was as good of a student, like never missing a class, never missing a shift.
Yeah.
You would think, like,
They would have got it. I just
get.
don't think that everybody was talking to each other
That's fair.
soon enough. You know, like her boss at the
That's fair,
restaurant.
yeah.
So Ferguson County police officers were sent out to Cindy's apartment to take a look around and take initial statements. Apparently, detectives don't work weekends in Ferguson, so they aren't even aware of Cindy's disappearance till Monday. Pretty quickly, police determined that there was no forced entry based on the condition of the apartment and the fact that Cindy's roommate said the door was locked from the outside. And when she got in, the apartment was normal. It didn't seem like anything had happened in it. In the bathroom, they found Cindy's fake eyelashes next to the sink, the ones she was wearing on Halloween. In her room was her backpack that she'd been carrying that night, and her cell phone was inside it. But her bunny costume, along with her purse, wallet, driver's license, credit cards, and her keys were nowhere to be found. What?
I was a little concerned with the picture of the eyelashes. Those were some funky looking eyelashes.
It was 2001, though.
I know.
It was 2001,
the
yeah.
lash industry has come so far.
It has.
I love it.
After taking statements from Cindy's roommate and friends, officers tell them it just sounds like Cindy went off on her own and she'll probably show up soon. Cindy's friends weren't buying it. She never went anywhere without her phone, and there was no way she would blow off work without at least calling. Cindy's case landed on the desk of Detective Brian Sprinkles. Yeah, I know, I love it. After going over everything, he agreed with Cindy's friends that something just didn't seem right.
Hell yeah.
It was clear to him that Cindy had made it inside the apartment and was now missing. But what wasn't clear was why she left and if she left willingly and what could have happened to her.
Okay.
Detective Sprinkle's initial instinct was that Cindy decided to run to the 24-hour store down the street real quick for something to eat after partying all night, since she grabbed her wallet with her license and credit cards along with the keys to lock the apartment. His only question was, why didn't she take her phone? Her friend said she never went anywhere without it.
Yeah.
And this is where I want to say this is probably one of the most debated parts of this case is why she left her cell phone. And the one thought that I have on this that I've not seen or heard anyone say, what if her phone was dead? She'd been out all night. It was 4 a.m. And if her phone died before she got home, she wouldn't have thought to grab it out of her backpack and take it with her. What would have been the point?
That's true.
And maybe she just decided to run out real quick and didn't think to throw her phone on the charger. It's not like us, we throw it on there instantly because we have so much to do on it.
Yeah.
It wasn't as much of a thought then.
I can tell you, for me, ADHD, I forget my phone a lot. Like, I have my phone on me pretty much at all times. But there's times I forget that shit in my car, and I, like, get into my house, and I'm just like, oh, shit. Or just, like, I forget it. Sometimes you just forget your phone. And if it is dead, why would you want to take it with you?
Exactly. And after I'd read this, I had read a little mini blurb the other day, and I've only seen it in this one spot, that her phone was actually powered off. So I don't know if she, like, had turned her phone off to save her battery, or if her phone died and they had to, like, plug it back in to turn it on, or they just assumed it was off because it wasn't lighting up when they opened it or pulled it out. So I had assumed from the first time I heard this case that her phone probably just died.
It makes sense.
You know, I mean, like, I don't know if it was a Nokia or, like, a flip phone or whatever. I know those batteries last forever, but you never know.
I miss that. But
So,
also, if she's just running to a store super fast.
and it was right down the street. This was a common thing for her to do.
Yeah.
You know, and she had all of her other stuff. If it was dead, there was no reason for her to take it, and I get that.
Maybe she was like, oh, it'll just be a couple minutes.
Yeah.
No biggie.
And it's 4 a.m. Why would you need it?
Yeah.
Investigators initially thought that Cindy could have left and committed suicide or just took off. They based this off of journal entries she made about experimenting with weed and ketamine and took into account that her recent breakup was bad enough to go to therapy.
You're fucking lying to me.
No, I'm not. Cindy's friends heavily disputed this theory, stating Cindy was in high spirits before she went missing and showed no signs of wanting to end her life. Investigators changed their tune when they discovered the Britney Spears tickets, along with the internship application freshly printed, a receipt for a new computer to be delivered the following week, and she was already registered for next semester's classes. Not only that, but there was no cell phone activity after 4 a.m. Her credit cards hadn't been used either. The surrounding woods and other areas were searched with scent dogs and on foot, and there was no sign of Cindy or her belongings. It's like she just vanished into thin air.
Do you have more information on the scent dogs later? Okay, so they didn't
never
catch
found
a single
anything.
scent of her.
No.
What?
But we are 3 days later, and 3 days later, and she's reported missing, and I think the scent dogs were maybe a week later. I don't think they were instantly, like, right in that time frame. I think that I never got an exact time frame on when they used scent dogs, but it was, like, in the first week.
That's valid, but if you look back at some of our other cases, Tyler, Brandon Swanson, they found Tyler was a month later.
A month later, it was like 28 days later.
Brandon was a few days later. They still catch scents. So
yeah, but they didn't find anything.
All right. Proceed.
Leading investigators to believe that Cindy had ran to the 24-hour store like she'd done so many times after a night of partying, but before she could make it there, she was abducted. Mm-hmm. And I know you're probably thinking, how are investigators so sure that Cindy left her apartment on her own other than the door being locked from the outside and she took her purse with her? Mm-hmm. Well, to be honest with you, they can't be entirely sure because they are only going off of what the responding officers noted and what her roommate had observed since coming home. Let me explain further. Cindy's family immediately made the trip from South Korea to Cindy's apartment, where they proceeded to clean the entire apartment upon arrival. Oh. So investigators never got the chance to dust for fingerprints or look at Cindy's room the exact way it was left behind.
Oh no, why would
they
do that?
The relationship between them and the investigators did not start off very well.
Oh no.
I think you just have to take culture into consideration for why they came in and instantly cleaned.
To be fair, my mother, if I'm gone for just like a couple of days and she's checking on my cats, she's cleaning stuff. Yeah. I'm like, stop.
So they didn't mean any harm by it. They didn't know they were doing anything wrong. They thought that they were helping. So that part is just devastating to the actual investigation and the case itself.
And also, like, a lot of people, like, if they're in denial or something like that, they're just like, oh, no, they're coming back. I want to make sure everything's clean for them.
Yeah.
And you see that all the time.
So while all of that is happening with investigators, Cindy's family and friends got to work trying to find Cindy. They were handing out flyers. Her mom got with some students from Penn State and made the Coalition to Find Cindy's song, which was dedicated to advocating for Cindy and keeping her name out there and her case alive.
Hell yeah.
According to a founding member, Asada Richards, in an interview with the daily Collegian, the coalition, and I quote, the coalition during its existence had two general goals. The first was to offer guidance to Asian student groups as they mustered support in their search for song. And the other was to keep continued pressure on the university to support the Song family and utilize its resources and influence in the search. The family also hired attorney Jin Han, a Korean native who attended law school and began his career in LA to represent them and assist them with press conferences and the coalition, along with helping them navigate the legal system in the U.S. And this helped Cindy's case quickly gain attention across the state of Pennsylvania, and it did end up becoming national news within a few months. So that was really awesome. And investigators got their first promising lead December 5th. 35 days after Cindy was last seen. Just days after Cindy went missing, a woman was walking her dog when she saw someone matching Cindy's description, crying and screaming for help in a car. When she approached the car to help the woman, a man told her to go away before getting in the car. And this happened 200 miles away from Cindy's apartment in Philadelphia's Chinatown district. She said the man seemed to be of Arabic or Asian background and had an olive complexion, and she saw enough of him for the police to make a sketch of the man.
Okay.
Unfortunately...
No!
The more and more police dug into her story and talked to her, the more her story changed. Ultimately, they determined that it wasn't Cindy that the woman saw that day.
You're not allowed to use that word. You have it more. You have it more. Ooh.
There's probably one or two more in here.
Ooh.
In the months after Cindy's disappearance, there's a major breakdown between investigators and Cindy's family. Cindy's brother doesn't think enough is being done quick enough because of all the legal red tape investigators have to go through to access Cindy's accounts at college, her phone records, her bank records, all of that. I've already told you that we found nothing on it, but it took a while to get there.
Yeah.
And they just weren't understanding that you have to go through the court. You have to get it approved. You have to get a court order. They just wanted it done.
I'm on his side, though. It takes way too long.
It does.
Way too long.
But there just also wasn't any give or take. And so on January 31st, 3 months after Cindy's disappearance, the Coalition, which included Cindy's family, held a press conference in which they fiercely criticized the Ferguson Township Police Department for not doing enough to solve the case. They compared the case to that of a local 13-year-old white girl who had gone missing on New Year's Day, pointing out that over 50 FBI agents were tasked with finding the 13-year-old, where Song's case was initially manned by a single investigator and only extended to a team of 6 state police officers after public pressure from Penn State's Black Caucus and the Korean Undergraduate Students Association.
Yeah, I'd be pissed, too.
Yeah.
I'd be pissed as a motherfucker.
In a seemingly retaliation, the investigators stopped contacting the family, a decision lead investigator Detective Brian Sprinkle claimed was done for Cindy's sake in the case and not the family, adding, "We pretty much cut them off." And that's a direct quote.
Sprinkles.
Investigators chalked it up to a culture barrier between them and the family, and because the family doesn't understand having to go through the courts to gain access to Cindy's records and accounts, the family disagreed, saying that not enough was being done and they could be doing more. Personally, I'm not a fan of the investigator playing the culture barrier card, but at this point, the FBI is involved, and the area they have searched extensively is pretty large, including multiple scent dog searches, interviews of basically everyone in Cindy's life, including her boyfriend, who was cleared as a suspect. Investigators were just baffled by the fact that Cindy just seemed to vanish into thin air. They had no suspects, no leads, and hardly any evidence to go off.
You're about to tell me this is unsolved, isn't it?
But desperate times call for desperate measures.
Oh, bitch.
Leading investigators to reach out to a Californian psychic.
Excuse me?
After being approached by the Penn State Paranormal Research Society. Yeah, the paranormal club convinced the police to go to a psychic.
Hell yeah.
And I quote Detective Sprinkles. "She's given us a lot of information, but nothing that has been helpful at this time. Believing her visions may turn into something down the road."
Sprinkles. Brother. What?
Yeah. November 2002. 1 year after Cindy went missing, Unsolved Mysteries released an episode containing Cindy's disappearance. And
Hell
this definitely got people talking about Cindy's disappearance.
Hell yeah.
Which was good, because investigators were feeling like the case was starting to go cold.
Ugh, I want to go watch that.
It's a good one.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
So, if you noticed, I didn't tell you to buckle up at the beginning of this episode.
Bitch, no.
It's because you didn't need to till right now.
No.
So if you would please buckle up for what I'm about to say next.
I don't.
Do it. There you go. Possibly the biggest break in Cindy's case came in June of 2003, when a police informant named Paul Weekly was being questioned in connection to a robbery. Let's just say Paul takes his job as a police informant very seriously, because he just offered all this up to the police.
Good for him.
Paul,
Wait, for for something or just cause?
he was being questioned about a robbery.
He does it for the plot, is what you're telling me.
Yeah. Okay. You ready?
No.
You're not. Paul claimed that an old prison friend and career criminal, Hugo Selinsky, told him he murdered Cindy with the help of Michael Kurkowski, a pharmacist who also ran an illegal drug ring and was currently thought to be on the run because he never showed up for sentencing in connection to the drug ring. Paul claimed that Hugo Selinski and Michael Kurkowski saw Cindy walking in her costume, mistook her for a prostitute, and took her back to Selinski's place, where she was imprisoned in a vault, sexually assaulted numerous times over the course of a few days, and left to die. Paul must have been pretty convincing because the very next day, police swarmed Selinski's house with a search warrant. They found him in the backyard setting up for his sister's graduation party. Selinski kept nervously looking at the spot in the yard while speaking with investigators. That spot is where investigators found the charred remains of at least 5 bodies.
5?
Mm-hmm. Much to investigators' shock, 2 of the bodies were identified as Michael Kurkowski and his girlfriend, Tammy Fassett.
Is that why he didn't show up?
Both of whom were assumed to have been on the run for the past year.
Yep.
As for the other 3 bodies, only 2 could be identified. I don't know if I'm saying this right now. His name, Adie Keller, Adeiye, and Frank James. The 5th body to this day has not been identified, and I'm not sure if that's because the remains were burned too badly or if there simply isn't a match in any database. You want me to keep going?
No, let's stop right here.
When questioned about Cindy's disappearance, Selinski's lawyers refuted he had any knowledge of Cindy's song, providing witness statements that proved he was hundreds of miles from the assumed site of Song's abduction. His alibi seemed airtight. Paul's story begins to fall apart when police confront him with the discovery of Kurkowski's body on Selinski's property. He then claimed that Selinski murdered Kurkowski and his girlfriend Tammy because Kurkowski had kept Cindy's bunny ears as a souvenir of the murder, and it angered Selinski. Paul eventually admitted that he and Selinski decided to rob Kurkowski after Paul learned about $60,000 that Kurkowski had hidden in the house. He said that Tammy only died because she happened to be at the house when they got there. He also admitted that they originally buried the bodies outside of a different house before eventually moving the bodies to Selinski's property, where they burned them and buried the remains. With Paul's ever-changing stories and his sudden involvement in a double murder, investigators turned their attention towards him. A search of his computer found that he had downloaded numerous articles about Cindy's disappearance.
Paul?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thinking he may have been studying the details of her murder in order to offer false evidence to the police in exchange for a reduced sentence, as he was looking at a life sentence and faced the death penalty. He had many reasons to lie about the circumstances of Cindy's disappearance. Unfortunately, without any evidence, Paul's involvement in the murder of Cindy was discounted by investigators.
Son of a bitch.
Which brought investigators back to Selinski and his airtight alibi, complete with witness statements. That places him hundreds of miles away from Cindy's apartment at the time she went missing.
I don't like how you just said that.
Yeah, because a 2014 grand jury indictment, so 13 years later, revealed Selinski, his lawyer, and a private investigator were intimidating and bribing witnesses. Not only that, but it was finally released to the public that a total of 12 bodies had actually been found on Selinski's property, not 5. 13 years later, we find this out.
What the helly? It's the only thing that's processing through my head is that. What? Jesus Christ.
Okay. Let me go through this and then we'll talk.
Okay.
Investigators say that Selinski is considered a person of interest in Cindy's disappearance.
No way.
Hugo Selinski is believed to be responsible for the deaths of the 12 bodies on his property. Only 4 of the bodies have been able to be identified, none of which are Cindy. There is also no evidence of Cindy being at Selinski's property. No DNA was found, or fingerprints or any other personal items were ever found, including her bunny ears that Paul claimed Kurkowski and Selinski were fighting over. Selinski sits firm on having no involvement in Cindy's disappearance. This is where I hoped investigators would circle back around to Paul, but it seems he has been written off completely, even by the new lead investigator, Jonathan Mayer.
John Mayer?
Yeah, Jonathan.
So we had Sprinkles and now John Mayer?
Yes, we do.
What a crazy detectives.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm trying to say. Go on.
From the first time I heard this case in its entirety, I definitely found Paul very suspicious and was shocked that investigators did not come back to him after there being zero evidence at Selinsky's property that Cindy was there. The more digging I did, I realized I wasn't the only one thinking perhaps Paul Weekly could be the actual murderer, using his knowledge of Selinsky's mass graveyard as a convenient red herring, while knowing he buried Cindy somewhere else. He knew about at least 5 of the bodies that were buried and where police would find them. He then led police to other spots on the property that he claimed Cindy was buried, while maintaining he only heard about it from Selinsky and Kurkowski. He wasn't actually there. Still, nothing ever turned up in those spots. Then you add in that he had news articles saved about her disappearance, and he seemed pretty fixated on Cindy's bunny ears. You can't ignore that there is way more evidence tying Paul to Cindy than there is to Selinsky. Although nothing of Cindy's has ever been found at Paul or Selinsky's house or property, I also don't think investigators looked further into Paul than the news articles they found on his computer, assuming he was just using the information to push focus onto Selinsky. And his habit of burning bodies and burying them on his property away from him and the robbery. It's just him leading them to the bodies to lead them away from the robbery that he was a part of, and he led them to the bodies from the robbery.
Yeah.
It was just weird.
People don't just insert themselves into investigations for shits and gigs.
Yeah.
Ever.
No.
Especially if you've been looking up articles about them. If you have an infatuation with it and you decide to insert yourself into it, it's rare that you're not connected. Very rare.
So, like, Paul, personally, this is just my opinion, Paul's a very big suspect for me.
Sus.
Yeah. Okay. Now that we've covered the biggest theory that is floating around, and that is out of the way, let's discuss the other theories surrounding Sydney's case. If you remove Paul's connections to the case, you're left with Cindy being abducted by someone random on her way to the store. Unfortunately, it was 2001 and cameras weren't on every corner like they are today. So there's no surveillance footage of Cindy walking to the store. Also, the cameras outside the store, they get recorded over like every 48 hours. They don't just get kept. So there's not even footage to show her at the store because we were 3 days past her disappearance whenever she was even reported.
Normalize keeping your security footage for a while. For a reason.
Since investigators spent over a decade focused on Paul Weekly's claims and Hugo Selinsky's graveyard, is it possible that someone in Cindy's life was overlooked in the years following? Or is there a possibility that Cindy, along with her belongings, were burned and buried on Selinsky's property and she's among the remains that can't be identified? What are your thoughts?
I have a lot of thoughts.
Now's the time.
Okay, so first of all, Paul did not know her. So
No.
This was a complete random act.
Yes, there's no connection between Cindy and any Selinsky, Kurkowski, Weekly, any of that.
It's 4 a.m. Her boyfriend was...
Yeah, he got cleared he was cleared, all of
early.
that. And also, I want to point out, this is a college campus. This is Penn State University. I heard in like 2 different podcasts of people who are locals in this area or like went to college there, they're like, there's not a prostitute anywhere near here. You're not mistaking anyone for a prostitute here.
That's valid.
And especially in what she was wearing. If she would have been in this sexy bunny outfit, sure. But I think Paul's research came before they really put out her exact outfit. I think he just took Playboy bunny outfit.
Probably. So with that in mind, is maybe they were specifically out looking for something. It's Halloween. You're on a college campus. Sorry, it's the truth. College girls dress pretty slutty on Halloween. Most women do. Not us.
No.
You guys saw it last year.
Nope, not us.
So, I mean, maybe they were purposely looking for something. They were probably, especially at 4 a.m, looking for a drunk girl. Not saying she was drunk, but that's ultimately
she
what's
was
be
though.
out at
Like
4.
it was proven. Like she had been drinking all evening.
Okay.
She was intoxicated. That's put on a store to get a drunk snack.
Hell yeah. So, drunk girl walking alone, probably still in a Halloween outfit. Probably someone, like, she may have just been a super random target. A girl by herself. In a skirt. Sorry. But
And,
Snatch.
and then you also have to look about the mundane possibilities. She was walking, it was 4 a.m., it was dark, it's Halloween night, other people are out partying.
Yeah.
Halloween is the number one day of the year that has the most pedestrian accidents.
Absolutely.
Mainly kids, but she could have gotten hit by a car, someone panicked, threw her in the car, that's why her credit cards haven't been used, nothing's been found.
That is true. I feel like if she was hit by a car, though, there would be remnants of an accident.
Yes. And also, it was close enough, so it's a lit area to be walking to. Because it wasn't like a gas station. It was like a 24-hour like grocery store. So I think it was like a Giant or a Walmart. Giant is on the East Coast. Of like that nature.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty sus about Paul myself, because I feel like no one asked him to bring this information up. And he's just like, oh, by the way, is Cindy Song.
yeah, they were like interviewing him about that robbery.
Yeah, it had nothing
for
to do with
Kurkowski and Sam, a robbery with that they were missing, and he just willingly offered that information about Selinsky and Kurkowski.
That's wild to me. I don't, like, again, inserting himself into something that did not need to.
And also like taking them to bodies. So like, what was stopping him from burying her body somewhere else and putting them there?
Absolutely.
So I don't know.
I don't know.
It's so hard, because if you take away Paul completely out of this, you're literally stuck at square one.
Yeah.
And there's no leads, there's no nothing.
I'm really surprised I didn't look into Paul more. Genuinely, I am. Because I feel like he had this infatuation with her, like, afterwards that...
And what's the infatuation with the bunny ears?
Yeah. That's a hard one, dude. And who knows, for all we know, maybe Halloween night he was purposely out and about wanting to, like, searching for something bad to do.
Because I hear and see all about Selinsky's alibi, but I can't find much for Paul's alibi.
Yeah. Does he...
Or the investigation into Paul. And, like, I know that they went through his computers, but I can't find anything about, did they have a search warrant for his house? Did they search more? Yeah, like, I can't find that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. I'm sus on Paul.
Yeah.
Hey, it took 13 years to get that one to look into, so unfortunately, I think it might take longer. If they even decide to look into it.
Yeah. Tell us what your thoughts are. What do you think about this? Do you have something that we haven't even touched on, we haven't thought about?
Well, it also doesn't help that, unfortunately, like, we dealt with this with Maggie Long also, of... Please don't give a fuck if you're a different race, unfortunately.
Yeah, this one has a very heavy... there's a lot of debate about the case that they chose to shine the spotlight on to show the racial bias. Because in that case, it was a 13-year-old girl, and they had online proof to track her down.
Yeah.
And they found her because she was talking to somebody online, and they found that. So they very quickly had leads to get to her.
Yeah.
They had more to work with and go off of. Also... She was a 13-year-old minor. This is a 21-year-old college kid.
Yeah.
It's treated differently.
Yeah, very much
so. Like, yes, I understand their frustration. They needed to use a case, and it worked, but...
like...
They weren't. The FBI wasn't involved. Yes, it did start out as a one investigator thing, but it was taken more like she went off on her own or did this. Like, they didn't have any proof of a break-in or... a struggle or anything like that. So it was harder.
I feel like she willingly left her home.
Yes, and that's what it looked like.
I don't think there was a struggle, or otherwise there probably would have been proof of it.
Yes.
So, I don't know, man.
And if somebody wanted me to, like, willingly leave my house, like, taking me at, like, gunpoint or something, all of a sudden I'm very clumsy, and I'm going to knock shit over on my way out. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So...
And also, like, at that point, because your brain switches into overdrive trying to, like, protect yourself, essentially, all the adrenaline and everything, you're going to figure out a way to show, like, she probably wouldn't have locked the door behind her.
Exactly. Unless she was taken as she locked the door or after she left. Yeah. Because even the abductor isn't going to be like, let's make sure to lock the door behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know, this one's just so...
it had to have been while she was walking somewhere.
There's so many just, like, twists and turns. So thank you, Brooklyn. My coworker actually brought this one to me. Forgot to say at the beginning. Thanks, Brooklyn. You told me that this was just somebody who disappeared on Halloween and they never found anything. There's a whole rabbit hole.
Brooklyn?
Whole rabbit hole.
Goodness.
But yeah, I don't know on this one. It's still an active and open investigation.
People don't just vanish. How many times have we said this?
We say it all the time.
We say it all the damn time. People don't just fucking vanish.
They don't.
And especially with the Britney Spears tickets, I know how much those were.
Oh, we're going to talk about that.
Oh.
So Cindy had her whole life ahead of her. She was a few short months away from graduating. She was applying for her dream internship and had just scored tickets to Britney Spears' Dream Within a Dream tour.
What a dream.
Which is a huge deal in 2001.
Hell
I
yeah,
can
it was.
only equate it to getting tickets to the Eras tour. Let me remind all of you youngins out there that back in the day we didn't have Ticketmaster online and pre-sale codes. You had to go to the box office and camp out overnight, sometimes for days at a time. Mm-hmm. And it was not easy to get concert tickets back then, okay? So, like, Homegirl was not just walking away from this tour. This was Britney Spears', like, biggest tour and concert. It is the concert.
This is literally around the time that Britney and Justin were, like,
dating
getting together. Britney was the biggest pop star in the world. You know what? It was Hit me, baby, peak. One more time.
It was peak stardom. I mean, matching jean outfits at the VMAs. I mean...
so good.
It was prime. Sorry.
So to get those tickets,
I would not, like, literally. I could get shot that morning, and I'd be like, "Listen, can we just like patch that up with the stuff they use like in war?" And I'm going. All right, we're gonna make an outfit out of this.
Absolutely.
I'm not missing it.
No.
It's like those pregnant women who like know they're gonna go into labor at the concert, but they go anyway because they're like, "We're not missing those."
Absolutely. And for people who aren't Swifties, imagine it being trying to get tickets to Sleep Token currently. You're welcome.
We have to include all of you. Cindy's future was stolen from her in the early hours of November 1st, leaving an empty space in the student body of Penn State, in her friend group, and at the Korean restaurant where her coworkers became her family. Cindy's disappearance devastated her mother. She was never the same after Cindy went missing. And sadly, she has accepted Paul's version of events, which is just horrible. I understand how hard it must have been for her to have no idea what happened to Cindy or where she is, but I honestly think it's worse to have Paul's version of events in your head.
Mm-hmm. Maybe she was just she wants some type of closure in her head, and that's why she's latching onto that. Like, it's the only story that has closure.
Yes, but it's still awful.
Absolutely.
That is horrible to think of. And if Paul's lying, like, that's even worse.
Absolutely.
You know?
Fucking Paul.
Before we want to move on to justice, I want to read you something that Cindy wrote and posted on her blog 6 days before her disappearance. It was titled Under Construction. Sad but happy, crying but laughing, ugly but pretty, hungry but full, hurt but fine, weak but strong, I pretend, and this is me. We definitely don't have justice for Cindy.
No.
And I'm not sure if we're close to getting it or honestly still stuck at square one. If you believe what Paul said, then we're close to getting justice. But if you think Paul is blowing smoke out his ass, then the investigation is still stuck at square one, with no suspects, no evidence to analyze, and no camera footage.
I have a question.
Yes.
What happened to Homeboy with all the bodies with the graveyard?
Oh, do you guys want an episode on him? He's kind of intriguing. Yeah?
Sure.
He's, like, literally not a suspect in any of this. Him and Paul got counted out. Like,
But, like, is he in jail?
Oh, yeah, he's in jail.
Jesus. That's what
I didn't go through all of that stuff because it wasn't relevant to Cindy. But if you guys want, we'll do a whole episode on that because it's a whole thing.
12 bodies, Jackie.
We'll do an episode. This is where the jury comes in. Mm-hmm. Someone out there knows something. Maybe they don't realize it till they connect it to something in this episode. So please share Cindy's story. She deserves to be remembered, and she deserves to get justice. Cindy Song is 5'1" and weighs 115 pounds. She has a tattoo of an elongated Pisces sign in the center of her back below her waistline. Piercings include her belly button, both earlobes, 3 or 4 piercings along the outer edge of each ear, as well as her cartilage. She was last seen wearing a white shirt, pink tank top, white skirt, pink tank top, brown knee-high boots, and red hooded jacket. She would be 45 years old now. The Ferguson police can be contacted at 814-237-1172. 45.
Hell no.
Yeah. She'd be 45 today.
Also, sorry, that just reminded me. The lady who was like, oh, I see her in the car yelling for help. Anything happened there?
No, essentially what I've heard, I really like this explanation of probably how this happened from one of the podcasts I was listening to. And the host is Asian. That's important for this. She goes, personally, I need to know if the witness, if she was white, if she was Asian, if she was black, what she was, because something happens when you are looking at a different race other than your own and someone's missing. So what she concluded to was that this person had this incident happen, and then in the weeks following began to see Cindy's picture circulating. And because they could have both have been of Asian descent women, she just said that they looked the same. So that woman just got discredited. They think that she thought that she saw Cindy because of all the posters that came afterwards. Mm-hmm. So that was just completely discredited with the more her story changed and all of that. But they did get the sketch, and they do have that sketch. We showed it up here. I'll have it on there just because it is a part of the case.
Yeah. Come here, Bubs.
You can come join us.
Hi.
We couldn't find the cat before we recorded to lock him up, and now he's here. For those of you not watching. Much. If you enjoyed today's episode, please hit the follow, like, share, subscribe button so you never miss a deep dive. If you're not... Excuse you, sir. I can't read with your tail there. If you're not already following us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok so you never miss an update or announcement, please go ahead and do so. We do post things over there. All the pictures from the episode, if you're only listening, is over there. If you have not checked out our website already, please check out justice4podcast.com because we have merch.
Oh my gosh, we have merch, you guys. It finally happened.
It did. And we would like to thank Andrea and Bailey and April for being our very first merch purchasers. Amazing. We love you guys.
Thank you so
much. We hope you're enjoying it. If you do buy merch, please share the pictures with us so that we can show you out there. We want to see you guys wearing it.
Yes. And probably by the time that this has come out, more people have probably ordered.
Hopefully.
Since this is, July now. So thank you guys for ordering and loving us. We love you guys. So
I know we've only talked about it for like months now, but we finally have it.
I know. Finally. You can find that actually through our website at justice4podcast.com under the merch tab. It's pretty great.
We also have all of our episodes on there. We have resources we mentioned in all the episodes. And if you have a case that you would like to submit, like this one, even though Brooklyn didn't submit it online, she just told me in the break room.
You can do that too. Just send us a message.
Yeah.
A lot of people do that.
Yeah. So send it on there. It gives my sister something to do. She puts that all together for us.
She's also here with us.
She is. She's just hiding in the corner.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thank you for joining me, and I hope that I frustrated you.
You did. You did frustrate me.
Now try to have a good day.
I'll be all right.
Okay. You got anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I
know. I told you this was a good one.
She told me she's doing 2 stories
today. Yeah.
And she told me one of them was going to make me mad, and I know it was this one.
Uh-huh. It was this one. I knew it. But we got to talk about a serial killer, and I like to throw those in.
We get to?
We did. Hugo Selinsky. He's technically considered a serial killer. He's got 12 bodies.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. And we'll talk about him more.
We will talk about him more.
Eventually.
All right.
Okay. I don't have anything further.
I got nothing else either.
All right. Cool.
Have a good day.
Wonderful.
Be nice to people.
Guys. What?
Be nice to people.
Do that. Do that. Be nice to people. Have a lovely day. We will catch you guys next week with a full new episode. Go buy some merch. Go follow us. All that jazz. We'll catch you guys next week. Okay. Love you. Bye.